My artwork is often portraiture and figurative, where I have really gestural images for the people in the portraits. And I've used a pattern in the background. I'm always drawn to like floral patterns, but sometimes I'll use a geometric pattern. The patterns are pieces that I have found that are usually maybe a vintage material or old wallpaper. The images, the people that I use are often family members or people that I have known personally or that someone close to me has known personally. To create the paintings, I often start with a charcoal or ink drawing of the person, and then I layer on a flat color. That color I choose sort of just whatever feels right for that picture. And then once that's down, I choose a pattern that goes with it. I like that gestural quality because I think of it a little bit like a ballad. It's a story telling about those people as who they were as people, rather than trying to record them exactly. I'm trying to catch their movement and their personality in those paintings. As I work on those paintings, it's often time for me to like reflect on them or sort of think about the stories or memories that I have of those people. So I am primarily a painter. I use oil paint. That's my favorite medium, but I'll sometimes also use acrylics. Sometimes I go into watercolor. Sometimes I like to mix my own paints with pigments, and sometimes I use it straight out of the tube. I really like to play with that medium. I also incorporate in a lot of charcoal, sometimes ink or like pen and ink into the paintings, and sort of just see what those combinations can create and I can come up with. Art was always something that was important to me. I really don't remember a time where it wasn't one of my favorite things or my passion, my way to view the world. I have memories of being 3 years old and knowing I wanted to be an artist when I was older. When I was young and I went to my babysitter, she had an art room in the back that had stacks and stacks of old wallpaper samples and bits and pieces, and I would spend as much time as she would allow me to be in there. She actually had to set a time limit so that I would play other things. I was really lucky when I was growing up because my parents recognized that was something important to me, and so they encouraged it. They gave me lots of chances to follow any of my interests that I wanted. So they'd get me art supplies or encourage me in learning new techniques, or if I decided I wanted to embroider something, they would go get me thread and needles so that I could do that. If I wanted to paint, they bought me paints. I was always really encouraged, and that was all the arts were really celebrated in my house growing up. When I went through school, that was my favorite subject in school, and then going into university, I always tease my parents that they tricked me into going into the education program, the art education program, but it really was a lucky thing for me because I got to take those studio art classes. I also got to take dance, and I had to take music and drama, and so for me, where I have a lot of interest, I was able to tie it all in together. After university, I spent more time focused at the home. I have 4 children, and so my time was spent with them, so my artwork became more personal and at home, and I also picked up a lot of more handcrafts like knitting or crochet, and along with still painting, but more for me than for sharing it with anyone else. When the Junction opened, I was lucky to be part of that from the beginning. So I would do workshops as one of the guest artists and create things for this space. And so it sort of has been a way to get me kind of out of the house a little bit and started me down being interested in showing my work more. I also went back to school a few years ago for my master's at the University of Victoria. I took the it's a studio art education program. So it was really neat because I got to work with other artists from all over the country, and I went and learned with them in a cohort. So that's given me some good connections and motivations. I'm really motivated by people that I'm surrounded with, and so I guess I'm an extrovert that way, which isn't always normal for visual artists, but I do really feed off of other creativity, and working with other people, it motivates me. So that was a good thing. In terms of, I would say I was really lucky that my grandmother was a really big influence in my life. She was an artist as well, and she loved oil painting, but she would also make sculptures or taxidermy or really anything that kind of fed her interest, and I've definitely taken after her with that. So I've also tried like stone carving or working with plaster, or really any kind of thing that I like that learning and playing with mediums, and I definitely got that from her. So really my future goals are to continue showing my work and to have it as something that I can give more and more time to, like professionally. What has started with showing locally and in the gallery, I really want to be able to start promoting it outside of our local city, and sort of continuing that journey of sharing people's stories and getting kind of digging deeper into that area. So this painting is a painting of my grandfather and my great uncles and my great grandfather. When I was younger, my dad would always tell the story of him and his siblings crowding around the register upstairs, listening to the adults party downstairs, playing cards, drinking whiskey. And so this is that moment that always makes me think of one of my favorite stories that my dad used to tell.